What's going on, guys? I'm Dan Langan, this is Dan Can Bake It, and I'm back this week with another baking challenge from Food Network. I have a brand new challenge box right here. I wanna unwrap it and see what I'm gonna have to create this week. It's a red cake. It's a very bright, very bright red cake. Recreate Magnolia Bakery's famous red velvet cheesecake. There's a lot of texture, a lot of flavor in here. This is definitely a lot to think about. We got the layer with the crust, this moussey cheesecake. I have this topping and then these chocolate shavings on top. It's like 4 levels of craziness that I gotta figure out. So maybe I'll grab a cup of coffee and I'll kinda try and figure out what elements I can pull together to make this recipe my own. I'll see if I can do this Magnolia red velvet cheesecake justice with my own version. So after looking through some of my favorite cheesecake recipes, I think I decided what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take my favorite New York style cheesecake recipe. I'm going to incorporate some Dutch processed cocoa for a nice strong chocolate flavor. I'm definitely including some buttermilk powder so I get that buttermilk flavor without watering down my whole custard. I'll include some chocolate cookie crumbs, and then of course, I need that nice red tint. So I'm also going to tint my batter red. But before I can even get to all of that, I have to make this chocolate cookie crumb crust. So I have a bowl here and I have some chocolate wafer cookies that I've crushed up really fine. So I'll add these to my bowl, and I also have some brown sugar and then a good pinch of salt. So I'll just give this a whisk, and then I have just a touch of unsalted butter that I've melted. So I'll stir this all up until it's nice and sandy and those cookie crumbs kind of get moistened up a little bit. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna grab some nonstick cooking spray, and I'll just grab my mini cheesecake pan here. And even though these things say non-stick, when it comes to cheesecake, I don't like to take any chances. So now I'm gonna take this and I'll try and divide it evenly. I think usually for these small cheesecakes, it's about 2 tablespoons, give or take. So one really cool trick is to actually use the lid of the non-stick cooking spray to press down the cookie crumbs. So I just wipe this clean, and now I'm just going to use it to press these cookie crumbs into place. You really want that cheesecake to have something strong to stand on. So you wanna give this a good pack down before you bake it. All right, awesome. So I'm just gonna pop these in the oven just for 8 minutes to bake. I have my oven preheated to 325, and we'll give them this bake so that they set up a little bit, and then I'll pull them out of the oven and I'll get to my cheesecake batter. So I pulled my crusts out of the oven, and while they're cooling, I'm going to get my oven ready to bake my cheesecake. So I lowered the temperature to 300 degrees, and I have some freshly boiled water here. This is gonna create a nice humid environment in the oven so that my cheesecakes can bake really gently. So I have some full fat cream cheese here that's nice and soft. So I'll start by whipping my cream cheese for a minute or two just until it's nice and smooth. So now I'll give my paddle and my bowl a scrape. And I've got some granulated sugar here. Got a touch of salt, some buttermilk powder, which is basically just dehydrated buttermilk. That's gonna give me that buttermilk tang that's really gonna make this a red velvet cheesecake. And then I have some vanilla. Can't make a cheesecake without vanilla. So I'll blend these on low speed for just a minute or two until it's nice and smooth and there's no lumps of cream cheese left. So that's finished up. I'm gonna grab here my eggs. My eggs are at room temp as well. I have 3 whole eggs and a couple of egg yolks, and I'm just gonna whisk these until they're smooth. So I wanna add these eggs nice and slow. And that's how you get that nice, dense cheesecake that doesn't have too much air in the batter. Great, so now let's talk chocolate. I have a bowl here. I have some heavy cream, some Dutch processed cocoa, and then some red food color gel. I really wanna make sure the chocolate flavor here is really easy to detect. So what I'm gonna do is bloom this cocoa powder with some hot cream. So I'm gonna pop this in the microwave for just a couple seconds until it's nice and steamy. So I'll pour this steaming cream into my bowl here. I'm going to add my Dutch processed cocoa, and I've also got some red food color gel, the same stuff I use to color my buttercream and my fondant, and I'm using the gel instead of like a liquid food color because I get that nice concentrated color without adding too much liquid to my batter, which I don't want to do. And now I'm going to whisk this all up. I like heating the cocoa with the hot cream because whenever you heat up cocoa, what you do is start to melt the cocoa butter in the cocoa, and it kind of wakes up the flavor. So this will get nice and smooth. You can smell the chocolate in the air. It's this beautiful deep red color. So I'll add this chocolate paste all at once. And I wanna mix this on low just until it's all combined. I'll give this one final fold just to make sure everything's nice and happy and nice and combined. So I know these pans hold about a cup of batter, so I have a 1/2 cup measure here, and I'm just going to divide this up. So my oven, I had already lowered the temperature to 300 degrees, and I'll bake them for about 45 minutes. After that, I'll check them, I'll make sure they're just barely jiggly, and then I'm gonna let them cool in the oven. So I gave my cheesecakes plenty of time to cool in the fridge. Now I'm gonna grab them and unmold them. They actually baked up really beautifully. They rose a little bit, just like I thought they would, and then they kind of sunk down to the level that the batter was when I put them in the pan. So I'll just gently lift these out. And then they have this little removable bottom that you just have to kind of pop off with an offset spatula. So now I'm gonna finish these off with some chocolate curls and a cream cheese whip, which is basically just a sweetened whipped cream with a little bit of cream cheese added. And I'm gonna squeeze really fast to build up a nice dollop of whipped cream right on the top of each of these cheesecakes. All right, chocolate curls. These chocolate curls are super easy to make. You just take a bar of your favorite chocolate. I like semi-sweet chocolate. Grab like a vegetable peeler. You just hold that chocolate bar and peel some chocolate. I think the true test here is actually to see how my version stacks up against the Magnolia version. So I'm gonna grab one out of the fridge and I can do a little taste test side by side. The Magnolia one definitely looks a little bit bigger, but I wanna give mine a taste. Let's see. That's really good. So now I wanna compare these two, so I'm gonna take a bite of this Magnolia Red Velvet. They're both so delicious. They're both so creamy and just like perfectly sweetened. They're both red velvet cheesecakes, but they're both so good. I feel like I don't wanna pick. Like I wouldn't even mind eating these side by side on the same plate. I do love how the Magnolia version is almost like a mousse. Like it's just so fluffy and so creamy and smooth, and you could just sit here and eat it. I think that I took my favorite qualities from the Magnolia Red Velvet Cheesecake and combined them with my favorite qualities of a cheesecake in general, and that's how I came up with this hybrid version, which I think is pretty awesome. So I'm gonna be saving this Red Velvet Cheesecake to my recipe box. If you wanna see me take on more challenges, subscribe to Food Network, like right now.